Welcome to Addiction and the Family, Episode 71, Sarah K., A Family Reunited by Recovery. Welcome to Addiction in the Family. My name is Casey Arriaga. I am a licensed clinical social worker and addiction counselor at both Windmill Wellness Ranch and Recovery Tree Counseling. I'm the author of several books, including Realistic Hope, The Family Survival Guide for Facing Alcoholism and Other Addictions, and the children's trilogy based on my book, Mommy's Getting Sober. I've been in recovery from my own addiction since 1998, and I've married to someone in recovery. The first 10 years we were in active addiction together, and since then, we've been in recovery together. Join us as we share experience, strength, and realistic hope on how you and your family can learn to grow and recover together. Welcome, everybody. We have a great episode today. We got Sarah K. and her two teen kids. They're going to be here talking about their experience of her as a mother and her experience of what it was like to be a young mother, going through addiction in and out, and all the things that it's taken really to heal from that, what her journey has been like, and what it's been like for the kids, and what it's like today. We're going to have all of that and more after a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors. Addiction in the Family is brought to you in part by Windmill Wellness Ranch, where I happen to work. We are nestled in the beautiful hill country of Texas, and we've been rated as the #1 treatment center in the United States by the Track 9 independent rating system. And that's based on our ability to bring down addiction relapse rates, anxiety, depression, and also increase optimism, increase resilience, increase people's commitment to recovery. When you see the results, that's what counts. Now, we are so confident of our ability to help people that we offer the Windmill Guarantee. The Windmill Guarantee states that if somebody comes to treatment and does all the stuff that we suggest, and then also does all the follow-up that we suggest, and still needs to come back to treatment within 1 year, they can come back at no cost. If you want to find out more about the Windmill Guarantee and everything else that we have to offer, visit windmillwellnessranch.com or call our admissions line. While I've got your attention, we also offer a free family course to anybody. You don't have to have any association with Windmill, but if you want to just get a taste of what we offer for families, sign up for a family course at windmillfamilycourse.com. You'll get weekly emails that'll point you towards podcast episodes, blog posts, videos, all kinds of resources that we offer for families. Because as you can imagine, I'm kind of passionate about family work, and I happen to run the family program at Windmill Wellness Ranch. So if you want to see more about that, go to windmillfamilycourse.com and spread the word. Again, anybody, anywhere who needs what we have to offer is free to sign up for the course and get those resources. Welcome back. Without further ado, we're going to jump into that interview. Let's start out by just asking my usual question. What are you doing on a show called Addiction and the Family?
I'll go first. My name is Sarah. I'm 35 years old. I am the mother of these two wonderful children. And I am on this show because I am a grateful recovering addict.
I'm Easton. My mom is Sarah. I'm on the show because it's a good way for us to cope, I guess.
Okay.
15.
My name's Linda, and I'm 13.
Miranda, if it's okay, I'm going to have you start us off and just talk a little bit about what was your experience around your mom's addiction?
Well, it was a little crazy at first. As she got more addiction, it got a little easier, but then she stopped leaving more often, and then she'd come back, and then leave and come back. And then when she got recovered, it was kind of weird at first. I didn't know about that much. And then when she got fully recovered, it was like normal time to go around again.
Yeah, and I wonder, Miranda, about how old were you before you recognized that your mom had an issue going on?
About 10 or 11.
And I want to check on something. Sometimes when a parent goes through something like addiction or any big mental health crisis, and then things get better, sometimes the kids are a little bit afraid to talk about it and to be really honest about it. Almost like, okay, things are okay right now. Let's not mess it up. Don't want to rock the apple cart, or I don't want to hurt my mom or upset her in some way. And I want to kind of take a moment and check. Sarah, how much do you feel like you and the kids have talked really openly about this stuff?
I'd say about probably 50%. They know all the experiences. I don't think that they know the full extremity that I went to, but they do know that, I ended up in prison. They do know that I was in and out of jail a lot. And they could obviously see my instability in my moods and just I think they can kind of both attest to that I was just completely kind of like a ticking time bomb. You never knew when I was going to blow. Now that I've been home for a couple of years, it's not really a topic we talk about much anymore. But in the beginning stages of me being home, they had lots of questions. Why were you gone? What happened? Where were you at? Why did you have to go to treatment? What were you in treatment for? They kind of wanted to know what was happening.
Yeah. So I wonder, in this context, since sometimes kids may be nervous to bring up certain topics or parts of the story, can you address your kids for a second about how you feel about them talking openly about these things?
I want y'all to talk openly about it because I feel like it not only helps me understand where I was and how I never want to go back there, but it also helped me understand how y'all felt about it and like what y'all experienced because I don't know what y'all experienced until y'all tell me, you know? So it's definitely something that I want y'all to talk about and be open about.
And one nice thing in a context like this, where we're doing a podcast episode, is that there's other kids out there that may not know how to talk about these things or maybe afraid to speak up also. So if you're able to speak up, then it might give somebody else courage to do the same thing. And so I'm going to check back. Miranda, if I can ask, would you be willing to tell your mom some of the feelings that were going on for you starting at 10 up through the current time when you were watching it be chaotic and then watch her get into recovery? What was happening for you emotionally?
Well, I was kind of sad a lot. Like at school, I was like happy, but then I was at home, I was like sad because I missed my mom. And when she finally came home, it was kind of weird still. I was still a little mad, but sad still. But now we're here and I'm happy that she's home.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being able to do that. And I can't help but feel like even when you were saying it just now, it felt like a little bit of the sadness was still there, or maybe you were remembering how the sadness felt. If there's anything where you still feel a little sad about it, do you feel like you'd be able to tell your mom about that?
Well, I do feel like I'm still sad about it because you can't go back in time to fix it.
And that's very true. You're right. We can't go back in time and fix it. But sometimes it's hard to move on from it fully if we don't talk about the feeling. Does that make sense? Ethan, I'd love to hear from you. Kind of what's your experience of this been?
I didn't really notice it. I still got to see mom every other weekend. So I was still happy nonetheless. But until I realized when she got home, it went downhill. And then I learned like, oh, she's back. She's fine now. And it's been uphill since that. I think it was 7th grade when she was finally starting to come home. I didn't really notice it. And then it just became a big impact. And then right after that, it dropped. I mean, she recovered and I realized that. And I was like, oh, feels nice to have mom around because then she's always there. But then when she was like on and off with it, it wasn't that big of a deal because I was a kid. I didn't know all I do was watch TV shows all day. I mean, that's all I really did. But when she wasn't there to make food, I mean, that's when I was like, where's mom? And that's where I'd call grandma because I always had grandma's number memorized from 8 years old to now. So it felt like grandma was like the second mom, kind of. Like she did everything for us, took us home, gave us food, put a roof on our heads. Even though there's problems, I didn't know what was going on through the time. It's progressively gotten better. I mean, grandma still cooks and all that, but can't complain.
And I think I'm just trying to kind of put together these two pictures because Sarah, I hear you say I was in and out of jail. I went to prison. And Ethan, I hear you saying, yeah, I didn't really notice. I was watching TV. And I'm going to be honest, that feels a little hard to believe, that large a disconnect.
Like I was confused why mom was gone, so I didn't know how to really react to it. But like when she was gone and I still got to see her, I was still happy when I saw her. I mean, no matter what, even if I got in trouble, she'd shoo me out and while we're visiting and then she'd be like, I love you. When she got out, it was more of like a excitement moment. It wasn't like a crying moment. I didn't go into like a big state where I was sad. I still was happy to see mom. But as she came back, it kind of pulled me away and I realized like, oh, that's why mom was gone. And it like kind of hit me then, like right as she got back. And I was like confused why it had happened to my mom. And the jail thing wasn't a big problem because grandma was always comforting us about it. Like, mom will be back soon. Don't worry about mom. Mom's in a good place. She's getting fed really well. She's recovering. I didn't know what recovering meant, but I would just believe grandma. And when mom came back, it felt weird, just out of the ordinary. Because, it was just us three. And then mom came home and it was us four. One more plate on the table. Felt a little off. But over the past few years, we've gotten used to it. And it feels better as time goes on.
Okay, Sarah, I want to hear your version of all of this and kind of what's happening for you emotionally, even as you're listening to your kids right now.
Well, it makes me kind of sad to hear them, their emotions about it and how they feel about it. They were really attached to my mom in my addiction. They were with me for a good portion of it. And then I kind of brought them to my mom and just disappear for like weeks at a time. And then she'll back up when I was hungry or when I needed a shower or when the money ran out or when the drugs ran out. I'd come back here so I could have a safe place to sleep and detox. And then I'd get a couple days clean and then I'd take off again.
During that time, what was happening for you emotionally as a mother?
The reason why I would run off is to run away from my emotions. I was full of remorse and full of shame and full of guilt. And I hated the way that I felt the need to choose the drugs over my children and my family. But I had no way of coping with what I was experiencing. So my emotions were crazy. When I was using, I had zero emotions. So when I would come home and shower and eat and do a couple days in the detox room, in my bedroom, a couple days of sleep, I would get up and all these emotions would hit me that, I missed Miranda's softball games and I missed Easton's baseball. My mom would be telling me like, oh, you should have seen it. Easton did so good. And I would just, yeah, on the inside, I was just like crumbling. I would do what I knew best and take off for another binge, for another bender. And then sometimes it would be a couple days I'd be gone. Sometimes it would just be for the night and I'd come back in the morning. Like I would feel so bad for missing out. So I would take off in the night, come back in the morning, get them to school, do the mom thing. I could only do that for a couple of days at a time before I just would fall apart. I got to the point where I felt like me being there was causing more harm than me just not being there. So I would off for longer periods of time thinking that they would, I don't know, like move on without me.
Let's pause there for a second. I want to kind of check. Miranda and Easton, do you remember that time?
Yeah, like mom would come back. Like I'd remember it wasn't a very big memory because I tried to erase everything. But mom would leave in the black truck and grandma would be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you leaving? Blah, blah, blah. Chewing her out as she's leaving. And then they would get into a big argument and mom would just drive off. And then mom wouldn't show up till the next morning. We're getting ready for school when grandma wakes us up. And then I was like, mom's home. Mom and grandma are like trying to avoid each other as much as they can. It was a big problem in the morning because like I went to school half the time, like tired, down. I felt like my mom wasn't always going to be there for me. I was confused why my mom wasn't there for me. For that time, I thought I wasn't good enough for my mom. That's why she kept leaving. So I tried to push past it. And I did go to the school counselor and the school counselor helped me cope with it a little bit. And then I went to our nurse at the elementary school. I always was with her because I like to do stuff that would get me hurt. And then I'd be there and I'd just talk to the nurse. And I still talk to the nurse now. She knows a lot and she kind of helped me cope with it. So it never became a problem when mom left. It became a problem when mom come back. So like when she would leave overnight and then come home, it felt different. It felt like mom was still there with us at night. But when I woke up, I was like, she's here. I'd dream, I'd sleep, think she's not there. Wake up, see her in the morning. I'm like, oh, she's home. And it kind of nonetheless didn't do anything for me. Still got me to school. She still made breakfast for us. And then it really hit me as like she would leave during the day after I get home from school and then I'd be getting ready for baseball and all that. be like looking in the stands for mom while I'm playing and be like, oh, mom isn't here. It's grandma. So I'd be really kind of down. And then it just, it just didn't help until grandma said she's back soon. And I was like, okay, she'll be back soon. I believe her. She came back and it just kind of felt normal, but it didn't feel normal because mom looked, I mean, when we saw mom, normally she was skinny. I don't want to say this in like a rude way, but she kind of looked like a zombie. Like it was bad. And then mom comes home fully recovered and she's looking like a normal human being. She gained back muscle. She gained back strength to do stuff. And then I was like, oh, is this what mom normally looks like? And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine with this. I can live with this. And then I just felt better.
I really appreciate you walking through that. And Ethan, you hit on something really important there. A couple things that jumped out for me. One was when you said, I've gone out of my way to like try to erase those memories. And unfortunately, that's not how our brains work. We know we're not actually healed or at peace with something until we don't need to erase it. It becomes part of our life, part of our story, and something we can talk about. But you hit on another really important thing in there when you talked about, like, you had that thought, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not good enough for my mom to stick around. And I want to check, Miranda, did you ever have that thought?
Like some days I did, but at some time I didn't.
And when you did have that thought, Miranda, what did you do?
I just kept it to myself. When she was home, she only got. She's home, that's good. But when she left, I was like, she probably left because of us, because it's too much of a struggle. So like,
And Sarah, can you talk to your kids about what's happening for you emotionally right now when you're listening to this?
Well, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to hear him say that. That's a trauma response to want to erase your memories, you know? So it makes me feel sad, remorseful, guilty.
And Sarah, what do you do with those feelings?
Well, I feel them. And then I pray about them. And then I let them go.
Right on. There's something else that you said that kind of jumped out for me, which is you were talking about having some self-doubt around, when your mom would come and go. And then you mentioned just sort of in passing, and it could be a coincidence, but in passing, like, I like to do things where I got myself hurt. And sometimes that can be a response to self-doubt like that.
Recess lasted like an hour and 30 minutes, I think. That was probably the dumbest time I would go. I'd be running. I remember this one time I just purposely, I don't think I was purposely, but we have this bridge to walk over. And I was running across the bridge. And I remember this one time I just ate it. Like my foot got caught. I fell on my face. I was crying. And I scratched up my whole face. And I was talking to the nurse about it. It kind of like hit me like, felt like I tried to fall. So I can go to the nurse and just talk. Because, during class, I spent most of my hours just sitting there and sleeping. I'd act like my stomach was hurting. And then I'd go to the nurse and just talk to the nurse. Sit there. There was times where before I moved here, the nurse would call her from work and I'd be saying that my stomach hurts and that she should come get me because I just wanted to be with mom. I just wanted to feel the presence of mom.
That's like when my addiction really took off. But at that time, I had a good job. We had a nice house. And at that time was starting to use hard drugs. So that's kind of when it started, and they would experience the beginning of it and they were involved in it, and they would see the people coming and going, and they'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be awake. Then it got to a point where I was missing them getting off the school bus, and I was missing that because I was, either inside asleep or I wasn't there on time. One time I didn't wake up till 7 p.m. and the police were bringing him to my house, bringing him home. Do you remember that?
There was this one time, me and Miranda were there sitting outside the house. I was like 8, 9 years old. This is when I'd first gotten my first phone. It was like a little Android. She set so many parental controls on where I could only call her and she would have to accept phone numbers. And all I do is call mom and be like, Mom, are you home? She's like, I'll be home. And like, she'd be slurring her words. And she said, I'll be home in like an hour or two. Call me back. And my mom's friend, Brooke, lived right down the road. So, sometimes I would just call Brooke and Brooke would come help like pick us up. And we sit at Brooks until 7 or 8, and mom would get there and pick us up and take us home.
We also had a neighbor too.
Neighbor always helped out too.
Yeah, that she would let them get off the school bus and go over there. And it was a Hispanic family, so there's always a bunch of them there. There's a bunch of kids running around. They were always having a great time, and the kids would just hang out over there, and she'd cook them dinner and let them hang out. And, I was very grateful for that lady because she saved me from the police getting called a couple times because they would just run rampage. Really, I wasn't paying any attention to what was going on.
I mean, the main way into the house was the back door, and mom is always cautious, so she'd always lock the back door. And sometimes she'd forget the key under the mat, so we were searching the house, and we always had this dog, and we had a Great Dane there. And if mom wasn't there in the first 30 minutes, we'd either go to the neighbor's house or we'd get Brooke to come get us. And it was just a big ordeal because, I didn't want to sit out in the cold at 7 p.m. at night. So we would just walk to some neighbor's house, and their neighbor would have bikes out. We'd be like asking the neighbors to let us ride their bikes, and we just ride up the bikes until who knows when. Mom got home at 8-ish, and we'd see her roll up, and we'd say bye-bye, walk us over to mom's house, and she would let us in, and we'd sit there, we get ready for tomorrow, get all showered up, and then the next day goes by, and it'd be basically the same thing.
And if I can, I want you to just notice, what are you feeling emotionally right now when you're talking about this?
I feel kind of anxious. I'm starting to sweat a little bit on my back. I've talked about it before with the nurse and the school counselor. When I talk to the school counselor, you see him every day. Same with the school nurse, you see him every day. But to open up to somebody I just now learned their name, it's a different experience, but I'll be open about it. And it doesn't bug me that people can learn that, hey, my mom's a recovering addict. I'm proud of my mom did recover. Something everybody should be happy about.
Without a doubt. And Miranda, if I can check, how's it feeling for you so far to talk about these things?
It feels a little weird talking about it and bringing all the old memories back up.
Yeah. Do you feel sad?
Really, that my voice sounds like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Miranda, can you talk about those feelings a little bit? Just tell your mom about those feelings?
Well, my feelings are a little weird.
Weird how?
I don't know how to talk about this type of weird.
You don't know how to talk about the situation or how to talk about your feelings?
Talking about my feelings in the situation.
It's difficult. Yeah. That make you feel anxious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Miranda, I appreciate you speaking up about it a little bit. Just as maybe a little bit of a pro tip, sometimes one way to kind of unlock or talk about some of our feelings is talk about how it feels in our body. I can feel if our face feels hot or our throat feels tight or open, if our heartbeat feels fast or slow, or sometimes our chest feels a little tight or feel butterflies in our tummy. And could you talk just a little about physically what you're feeling as you're talking about these things with your mom?
I feel like I'm writing the wrong thing or something.
I don't think there's anything wrong you could say right now.
Yeah, it feels weird to talk about it.
Well, Miranda, if I can ask, what are you afraid might happen if you did talk to your mom openly about some of this stuff?
I think she would just let me talk about it. So I don't think she'll get mad at me for talking about it or anything. Because I don't really talk about it.
Are you scared you're going to hurt my feelings?
Yes. When we first started saying out, she had different color hair all the time. She had red hair, then she had dark brown hair, then she had bright hair. She had long hair, then she had short hair. She would have all types of hair, and then she'd be really skinny, and she had a different skin tone sometimes. And then when we started visiting her, she was she was fat. They were feeding her 5 meals a day. And she had lots of gray hair, and she had lots of brown hair, and she still had a bed at the very end. So when I look at photos from her when she was 16 and younger, she looks younger. So when I see her,
I would change my hair color all the time because I was on the run all the time. So different hair color, I would think different identity, I guess. So I'd come home with blue hair, or I'd come home with red hair, then I'd come home with blonde hair. Like, it's kind of like if you ever go in my office, there's a series of mug shots, how it shows you how my addiction got progressively worse. And every mug shot, I have a different hair color.
So, Sarah, I'm going to ask you to maybe take a few minutes and just take us through what got you to the point where you got in recovery, and what does that look like since then?
Well, my mom had called the police on me for stealing her truck because I would take off in a vehicle all the time, and she just got tired of it, and rightfully so. And she called the police and reported I'd been gone at this point for 4 days already. One of my friends told her where I was and that the truck, I'd run out of gas, truck was broken down. So she called the police and reported the truck stolen. They came and picked me up, and I went to jail. And that time I was in jail for a couple of months.
It was about 6.
I think so, yeah, about 6 months. Like, they would bring meetings in to the jail, and I started going to these meetings, and, I never really heard of recovery or, like, what it was like. I just knew that if I stayed off drugs for a couple of days, I hated myself. So, I started going to some of these meetings in there, and then when I got out, I think I stayed home maybe 2 weeks, and I took off again. This time I stayed gone for, like, 4 months. I didn't come home barely at all. If I did, it was while they were at school. I was just picking up clothes so I can take off again, or, it was just here and there, very short lived. And once again, I got arrested, this time for burglary of a habitation. I had a warrant. They surrounded me. I went to jail, and I tried to lie for a long time about the burglary. And then finally, it got to a point where I was tired of lying. I was tired of feeling the way I felt. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I asked to speak to the judge after I'd, lied to her face for like 7 months about the charges. And I got in front of the judge and I begged her for an opportunity because she was looking at giving me 10 years in prison. My charge held up to 20 years, and she was talking about 10 years in prison. And I just kind of gave up. I was like, man, I'm over this. And so I got in front of the judge and I told her, I don't need prison time. I need rehab. I'm addicted to methamphetamines and I have a serious problem. And she was kind of taken back. She's like, what? And I was like, what do I need to sign? Like, I'm guilty. I did it. Like, I need help. I don't need prison time. I've done the jail thing. Like, that's not rehab. It doesn't help me. So she sentenced me to finish out my time for the current charge I was on, and then sentenced me to go to Safe P for 10 months, and then halfway house afterwards. And I went back to the jail. I sat there for a couple more months, and they pulled me to prison, and they shipped me off to Safe P. And in Safe P, they held NA and AA and Celebrate Recovery and Winter Circle and SOS meetings. So I had a bunch of meetings I would go to daily. At that point, I really wanted something different for myself. So I started digging into a recovery program, and I think that's when my recovery really took off. I started to feel different, and I had a sponsor through the mail and through the phone, and I tried to work steps as best as I could, while you're in prison. It's not like you can really dig into a bunch of step work very well. I asked my mom to send me an NA book and the step working guide so I could start working on it. And I did. And I ended up becoming the lead of my women's pod for a little while until I got caught exploiting somebody. And I got in trouble, big trouble, and they moved me to another pod. And that in that moment, I think that's where my moment of clarity came from, really, that I had like a serious spiritual awakening at that time, because I realized like how easy it was for me to resort back to that addict behavior. It was scary because I felt like I was getting away with something, and it was like a adrenaline rush. But after the fact, I was feeling that remorse again, that shame, that guilt, all those feelings that I had been running from the whole time during my addiction. So after I got out, I went to Windmill and applied, and I've been with Windmill ever since. And since getting out, I gotten 2 vehicles. One of them I've paid off completely. I have credit that I've established, and Now I have a double wide mobile home that I'm getting set up and working on getting us moved to here on my mom's property. And I go to meetings regularly. I'm the GSR of my home group. I do area and I do my home group meetings, group conscience, all the things. And for me, staying plugged into my recovery community and staying plugged into my Narcotics Anonymous program is what really keeps me grounded. Because in the beginning part of my recovery, I used my job as my recovery program. I would do meetings, but I was misconstrued with the service work portion of my program. And I thought me working with the clients every day was considered my service work until my sponsor put me in my place and told me that you get paid to do that. That's not service work. But I emotionally would rely on my job to fill that void when in reality, it was my program that helped me initially fill that void. So I had to kind of learn some boundaries with that. I didn't really have any boundaries, I would stay late or I would come early or I'd just come in willy nilly. If I was home, I would feel disconnected because I wasn't in the recovery community. It felt like I had to learn some boundaries around that and figure out that balance between work, program, home life. And it's kind of like a balancing act, It's like you got all these plates and you're trying to figure out how to keep them up with a smile on your face the whole time. So figuring out how to do all those things has taken some time, but I feel like I'm in more of a place now where I can do that successfully. Doesn't look perfect all the time, but it's definitely better than what it has been.
I'm going to ask just a couple more questions before we wrap up. Sarah, can you talk a little bit about your relationship with your kids during that time and your relationship to your own parenting? Because, like you said, you've got this guilt and shame that you've been dealing with or bearing or running from for years and years and years. Now you're sober. It's not so easy to run from those things. What was happening for you emotionally in your relationship as a parent?
I kind of felt like I didn't really have one. I kind of felt like I didn't have a place. My mom, I'm so grateful that I had somebody who was able to take care of them in that time because their dad was also in prison. He's an addict as well. So there wasn't a counterpart to help besides my mom. So I kind of felt like the black sheep in the household because I really felt like I didn't have a place to say anything or to do anything, that I kind of almost felt like I just fell into another kid. Like these are kids and I'm just a kid under my mom's say so, because I didn't feel like I had a voice because I didn't deserve it for a long time because I was out of the picture for so long. But having caught those conversations with my family and telling them like, hey, I'm back in the picture now. I'm clear headed and I want to be the parent has helped us all, I think. I just want my mom to be a grandma, and she's done her job. All of her kids are grown. So would love for her to just be able to be the grandma that they need and love.
All right, that seems like a good place to take a quick break and hear from another one of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll have the rest of that interview. Among our sponsors, the most important one is you. We're just so grateful for your support on our mission of helping families find recovery. Here's some ways you can help. If you know anyone who could benefit from our message, encourage them to listen and subscribe. Hit that like button. We are so grateful for all of our subscribers on Patreon. So if you are able to support us in that way, we are so incredibly grateful for you. You can also check out any of my books. We've got Realistic Hope, Family Survival Guide for Facing Alcoholism and Other Addictions. We have the trilogy based around my book, Mommy's Getting Sober. Those are children's books, which are great to spread that message. And each one of the books also includes a guide on how to talk to kids about addiction. And also have my book, Spirituality for People Who Hate Spirituality. Please tell a friend, spread the word on social media. Let us know what we can do to help. Feel free to reach out to us. We appreciate each and every one of you. We could not do this without you. Welcome back. All right, without further ado, let's finish the interview with Sarah Kay and her kids. Easton and Randy, you both talked a little bit about what that time was like for you as those relationships shifted as well. So I'm going to ask maybe a little bit of a funny question. Easton, if you could go back and talk to your younger self when your mom was in her addiction, what would you want to say to younger Easton?
I would have said just push through it. I mean, grandma bought me into some Nintendo Switch and I would sit on my game. Like I got home at 3, 4:15, 4:30, and I'd just sit there in front of a TV for 4 or 5 hours, and then I'd go feed animals, and then I'd lay down and get a shower and go to bed. If mom walked in there, I'd be like, "Oh, guys, I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all later, or I'll talk to y'all tomorrow." And then me and mom would talk, and just mom would make food, and then mom would be like, "Okay, let's push you to bed," put me to bed, and then I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and then I'd walk in mom's room and be like, "Oh, she's gone."
Yeah.
But I would have told myself, wait, instead of playing the game, waste as much time as you can with your mom. Mom would get home 5. I would sit in there until 7 or 8. Mom would walk in, "Hey, let's get off. Let's start getting off. Get ready for bed." Mom would get home 6-ish, and from 6 to 9, I could have just burned time with mom, but instead I burned it on that game.
Yeah, just so you know, I mean, obviously I can't know this, but for a lot of people, spending that much time playing the game, stuff like that, can be a way to try to deal with the feelings that are naturally happening with your mom being there, being gone, wondering, is it me? All those kinds of things. Sometimes that's a way to do that, and it can even be a little bit of a way to express some of the upset with your mom. Okay, you're here, but I'm going to be doing something else. Not the kids don't do that sometimes, but just what you're describing, doing for hours and hours and hours. And so maybe there was some emotional stuff that could have used more help at the time. To be perfectly honest, there may be some emotional stuff that's still there a little bit, Easton. Because when we started out, you were like, nope, this didn't really affect me, not a big deal, whatever. But then as you're talking about it, there's a lot of things that sound like they were really difficult to go through, and you did touch on some emotions. And I want to appreciate the fact that you were able to do that. Miranda, I'm going to ask you if you could go back and talk to younger Miranda about what was going on. What would you tell her?
I would tell her to not crush your iPad so much and to spend more time with mom and actually do my homework and stuff.
And the nice thing in both your cases, you have the opportunity to do today some of the things you would have told your younger self. Sarah, I'm going to switch the question up a little bit for you because I think I probably have a good idea, and our audience probably has a pretty good idea of what you would tell your younger self.
Yeah.
But if you could go back and talk to your kids when they were younger, when they were going through it, what would you want to tell them?
I would tell them that I loved them and that I was sorry and that my inability to express my emotions and express what I was going through caused this buildup that made it easy to turn to substances instead of, friends or talking to somebody or going to therapy. I would tell them to open up, be honest, talk about your feelings, talk about what you're going through, that I love them and that it gets better.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? All right. Miranda, I'm going to call on you first. Anything you would want to tell other kids out there who might be experiencing some of the things that you've gone through?
The only thing I tell them is keep your head up high.
Easton, what would you want to say to anyone else out there that's maybe going through some of the same stuff that you have?
Forgive your parents, no matter what they did wrong. You can't fix it, so always forgive them.
And Sarah, if you were able to talk to a younger mother who was going through some of the same stuff you were going through, what would you want to tell her?
Go to therapy.
Roll down the window as we're driving.
Go to therapy. Go to therapy. Just do it. It's okay to do therapy. It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to have emotions and feelings. Your addiction and living in your remorse and guilt only makes you feel worse. Do what you can to fix it, get out of the problem, and get into the solution. Because the solution is never going to be to continue getting high or drunk.
As a therapist, you're warming my heart. Great advice. 100% with you. Well, I appreciate all three of you coming on. Thanks so much for being on the show, and I'll let you all know when it's ready to go. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Man, what a great interview. All right, stick around for the credits. We've got lots of cool stuff. See you next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Addiction and the Family. This program is recorded, produced, written, floor swept, the whole bit by myself and my wife, Kira. Just so happy to have you with us. If you'd like, you can always look us up on Facebook. We are tweeting on Twitter, whatever they're calling it these days. And we can be found on Instagram. We can be found on Blue Sky. We can be found on Pinterest. So visit caseyauthor.com and just know that we are so appreciative of you and your support. hit that like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Feel free to email us anytime at addictionandthefamily@gmail.com. Take care till next time.